She'd spent 3 years agonizing over him. 2 years of that time she'd spent running for her life. And now he was here, staring at her, watching her curiously, but he didn't know her. She'd mattered so little that he didn't even remember her. "I can take you back. Let me get my bag." The other woman rushed off before Sallie could tell her that was okay. She'd make her own way back. "It was nice to meet you, Mr. Donovan." She barely forced the words past her lips. "If you'll excuse me." "Of course." A polite smile, a narrowing of his eyes, but he didn't say anything more and allowed her to turn and walk away from him. She pressed a hand to her stomach, wondering if it were possible to hold back the emotions tearing through her now. This wasn't what she'd expected to find in the small town of Deerhaven. A place to hide. Time to give her stepfather to figure out who was stalking her and why. That was all she'd hoped for when he'd deposited her in her hotel 2 weeks ago. Stanley Dillerman had arrived the next day and given her the manager's position at his feed and ranching supply store, and Sallie had fought to just get through each day until she found her balance here. Found her balance. Yeah, that wasn't happening now. There wasn't a chance. Because Jacob Donovan was here. And the weekend she'd spent with him was still a brutal, pain-filled reminder of everything she'd lost since. Everything. Especially the man and the dreams she'd once allowed herself to believe in. Chapter 1. 3 years later. Some men should be outlawed for the sake of all women worldwide. Especially tall, dark-haired, dark-eyed cowboys like Jacob Donovan. And some women should know better than to allow themselves around them. Most especially a woman who knew he couldn't be trusted. One who knew exactly how dangerous he could be to her heart and to the defenses she'd built around it. She was insane to be here, knowing he would be as well. He'd hurt her once already, and she was tempting fate, giving him a second chance to do what he'd done to her the first time around. And she couldn't help herself. For 3 years, she'd managed to stay away from him, no matter the temptation or her need. She hadn't even meant enough to him to remember her. But she'd never been able to forget him. His face drew the eye, commanded attention, and warned a woman she was dealing with a true alpha male. Sun-bronzed and savagely hewn, that face didn't betray any emotion that he didn't willingly allow it to show, nor did the whiskey brown of his gaze. Thick brown hair framed his face carelessly, falling just a little long and tempting a woman to run her fingers through it. It was warm, slightly coarse, and she'd once loved the feel and weight of it against her fingers, her breasts, between her thighs. Broad shoulders and obviously tight abs were covered with a black cotton t-shirt that did nothing to hide the fact that he was truly built. Long, powerful legs were encased in denim. A wide belt cinching hips a woman would love to wrap her legs around. She definitely loved wrapping her legs around them. And he wore cowboy boots. What was it about cowboy boots that made a man look so damned sexy? And he was sexy as hell. The fact that he was the most desirable male in the bar wasn't debatable. Why didn't he recognize her? It had been more than a few years, and her looks had changed. In ways, everything about her, who and what she had been and was now, was completely different. She wasn't the 18-year-old he'd charmed on a cold winter's night in a foreign land, but he wasn't the 25-year-old man she'd been so fascinated with anymore either. He'd known her as Kira, not Sallie. The man who had bound a part of her with his kiss, his touch, and 3 days and nights of the most incredible passion a woman could ever know. And he'd forgotten all about her when he'd left her. Sallie drew in a long, slow breath and forced her attention from the man leaning relaxed against the bar as he talked to another rancher. His friend was an irritant.